Adam. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, sorry, I do have one more comment. It's a rebuttal to Adam, my apologies. After much texting, we've decided you're only actually getting one bottle of wine for your 3 appearances. And so, yeah, otherwise, you walking out with a swag, the unseen.
Before Stephen comes up, again, I'll just give you the opportunity. I'll keep doing this, but I understand that you may want to save it till the end. But any questions of Adam or Ryan about this particular application? That'd be no. Okay, Stephen will come and talk to us about the AMR NRM Board's application around the Northern Adelaide Plains and building capacity.
Thanks, Brenton. I was going to say there was going to be a bit of discussion about where Adelaide's food bowl was. I'm sure some of the other regions say the food bowl's in our area. We believe it is in Northern Adelaide Plains, and part of the reason we've looked at this project is that in relation to Northern Adelaide Plains, we do see it as an important area. The horticultural area covers around 3,500 hectares, and from a value production point of view, it brings in about $130 million annually to the state coffers. So from that perspective, it's really important. When we looked at this area and when we were thinking about the projects, one of the things that struck us is a lot of the work being done around climate change, and when you look at locally, it doesn't necessarily look at some of the local issues around types of crops being grown, the water activities and a few other things. So we felt that probably around Northern Adelaide Plains there was a few things missing. So that really drove us towards this project. The other thing is we looked at is a lot of the growers in that area, they do some basics works around climate change in terms of some of their greenhouse works, but when it really comes to extreme events and some of the really big changes we might see around climate change, they're really not looking to that far into the future. So it's probably our thinking that we really need to get on top of this early and start having that dialogue with that community. In relation to the project, we're looking at it in 2 parts. First part, we're actually working with Junior and the climate change area and the water area about what the project is doing, some technical work, just to give us a bit of understanding about what are some of the technical aspects of water use in that area and what climate change might impact on that. So looking at groundwater levels, salinity and some of those, so at least we can go out to that community and talk a bit more specifically with some evidence about what the impacts of climate change may have in that area. The main part and where we're refocusing this application on is around that engagement. One of the challenges which we know we're going to have, and I think part of the reason I think this project might have got up is there's a fairly large proportion of non-English speaking community out there, the Vietnamese and Cambodians, or English is their second language. So part of the challenge will be is actually how we have that dialogue with that community, how we understand what their capacity is and what they need, and how we actually take the tools, either existing tools or tools which we can develop and help them use it. So I think we see some really big challenges ahead. This isn't going to be a short-term fix in 6 months, it's going to be over a number of years. So really the outcomes will be to look at what are the processes going forward, what are the tools we may have to develop, which can be used in other areas as well. We're not doing this project alone as well. There are other projects which are currently going on within that region. The City of Playford is looking at is actually undertaking a study of horticulture and viticulture in that Northern Adelaide Plains area. So it is actually working with them as well to make sure that we're getting consistent messages out. So we're clearly looking at that. And the other thing is, from a board perspective, we're doing a water allocation plan. It's actually the 2nd generation water allocation plan in that area. There's been a plan here since early 2000, so a lot of the information which we're getting as we develop the water allocation plan will also feed into this project. So we're not doing those things in isolation. We hope, like the others, we'll decide this project fairly soon. We're going through the procurement process at the moment. We see it's going to take us probably between 6 and 7 months, so we'll hope to have some early results by November. I'm just going to finish by saying that in relation to this project, the board at the moment is also working on its amending its NRM plan for this region. And we see climate change as one of those key drivers as an area. And we've taken a different approach to this new plan. We are looking at taking a systems approach, and clearly agriculture, primary production is one of those key systems in this region. So understanding what climate change might impact on those systems, what are the key drivers, what are the strategic directions we need to take, is all being built into this new plan. And hopefully by mid-year we will start consulting on that plan through a formal process. We'd like to see probably the majority of the people in this room who live and work in this region being engaged in that process. So I know from a board perspective we really look forward to that engagement. So thank you.
So this project actually was quite heavily debated in the steering committee. We were very excited by it in the sense that, so I think it's worth saying this is one of those projects and part of the funding criteria where we thought we could be particularly innovative. And one of the reason why we kept the innovation funding criteria in this grants program is because this program, we've had an adaptation strategy out for about 8 months now, but really we've been working in this space for about 3 years and have leveraged a lot of innovation. Every time someone just walks in with a good idea, we try and find a way to make that good idea happen. And really, we're here today because of that culture. And we wanted to continue that culture as part of this program. And we thought this was a really interesting idea. We were particularly attracted to the culturally and linguistically diverse groups and reaching those groups and experimenting with ways, innovative ways to reach these groups, perhaps learning lessons about how we do this throughout South Australia. We had to have, so with that, we happy to support the application initially, but we had to have a couple of goes back at it because the committee was a little unclear at this stage about exactly how it was going to do it, how the project was going to deliver. And so we had to, we did go back to the board and say, look, can we have more detail in this application to provide confidence to the selection committee that you can deliver what you were saying you're going to deliver. And we subsequently have, and so we've gone with the project. But that was, I suppose, a lesson to take forward to any future application.